When it starts to get a little warmer, do you get itching for
Oh
the yard
yeah.
sale signs to go up?
Yep, that's like the plan for the day. Date night, we're going yard sailing. Get a coffee in the morning, and you'll catch me in the county going to all those yard sales.
What time will you head out in the morning?
Typically like a 9 a.m. start.
Okay.
Yeah, we like to get there early. Make sure we get a hold of the good stuff before anyone else does.
And what's the plan? I know when I was a kid, you got the newspaper, the yard sales would be listed, you'd map them out, and you'd head out, but that's not really how they're advertised now. How
No.
do you make that plan before 9 a.m.?
Honestly, Facebook groups, Windsor Facebook groups, that's where everyone posts that they're about to have a yard sale or a garage sale. So we keep our eye on those weekly, and we're able to kind of track them and make note in our calendar and head out that way.
You mentioned the county. Is that where the
Yeah.
good stuff is?
Yeah, honestly, all the best stuff that we've been able to find is out in the county, Kingsville, Essex area. Yeah.
What type of clothing are you attracted to?
So type of clothing that we're attracted to mostly are the clothing pieces with character, something with a story behind it. So not just your plain old T-shirt, maybe something even with a rip or a tear, and that way the owner can tell us the story of how that rip or that hole originated from, and typically it's something unique. So we're all ears for that. Yeah.
Why the stories?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like more or less every time you go yard sailing, people are just getting rid of their junk. But the odd time that you do actually communicate with the person hosting the yard sale, they're the ones that are getting rid of something that they originally loved and were interested in. So, if you open up that door, and they all have stories, right?
What got you into this?
Well, originally it was actually my partner and the co-founder of Racks and Ruin as well, Jesse. He was originally into thrifting, and once I started to see how passionate he was about it, I honestly questioned him, and I'm like, how can someone be so passionate in thrifting and yard sailing? Like, this is bonkers. But then once he kind of opened that up to me, I'm like, okay, this all makes sense.
Yeah, you have the bug because you're
Yeah.
very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
When did you catch the bug?
I caught the bug when we first started our business. I mean, I've always loved being an entrepreneur and starting things from the ground up, being your own boss. Everybody loves that, right? So I think once it was kind of wrapped around that whole idea, I was able to fall in love with it a little bit more and appreciate it more.
Will you always find gems when you go out, or are there
No.
some days that, okay, so take me to the
Definitely not.
darker days.
Yeah, the darker days is, well, definitely you have to be a little bit more educated on what you're looking for. It's very often that you do find things that look very aged and well-aged, but it's often the new brands and new manufacturers that are forcing that wear and tear and that age that you typically do find in vintage clothing. So you just have to keep your eye out for exactly what to look for when it comes to an aged garment that is aged by years and not just by mass manufacturing.
What don't you like about yard sales?
Sometimes I don't like probably the dust and the bugs that you will find on like the old mid-century modern like furniture pieces. Often I don't know why it always happens to me, but I'll do pick up the piece that has that spider in the corner, and the big fear of mine. So that's the
Spiders
only
are
thing.
a big fear?
Spiders, dust, old creepy crawlies. So I have run into a few of those.
You
in
need
my
to send
time.
your partner in first,
I know,
dust it off, and then
seriously.
I'll take a look at it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
What's the most popular piece of clothing that you'll find?
Honestly, the most popular clothing that we find and we sell as well is like band tees, old concert tees and tour tees from everyone going to the rock concerts in the 70s and 80s. And we love finding those, and they're so unique too.
So what would you buy them for? How much?
So typically, we obviously at yard sales, we want to give people a bang for their buck. They're trying to get rid of things, and we don't want to crush their idea of making money off of this yard sale. So we typically will bargain a little bit, but
Yeah.
not too much when it comes to people at yard sales. But when it does come to us in wholesaling and things, we do get stuff for a better price, obviously.
So what would be the range?
Anything will range. People will sell band tees for like $100, $200, but most of the people that are holding on to those band tees don't know what they have, so they try to sell it for $20 to $30, sometimes even $5, which is a crazy steal. I honestly, I can't lie to people, so I typically try to tell them what they do have. I can't steal from them. So
When has that happened?
So that's happened a couple times at some yard sales. We actually had a man that had an old Harley Davidson tee that was worth probably $100 to $200. $100 just by the age and the year of the piece. And he was trying to sell it for $10 or $15. And we didn't want to buy it off of him just because we knew how much it was. So we told him to do his research. And then he did. And he kind of thanked us. Actually, we exchanged numbers. He thanked us for educating him on the worth of that piece because obviously now he's making more money off of it.
You're almost like the Antique Roadshow clothing edition.
Yeah, seriously.
You could have your own.
Honestly, we grew up watching American Pickers and those
there you go.
shows too, right? That'd be a dream of mine.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow, you have to go on the Storage Wars as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, those were so funny.
Elbows out.
Yeah, they're like 200, I'm over 200.
Yeah.
You know, those guys. Yeah, those are funny.
know.
The auctioneers.
What do you think the future holds for something like this in Windsor, Essex?
I think obviously there's not that much of a market for it in terms of people owning businesses, but I do think that there may not be a big market for it because no one else is doing it. So we would love to get our foot in the water and kind of open our doors to the beauty of vintage clothing and vintage furniture. So hopefully, you know, the small business side of Windsor will allow us to open our doors to everyone here and hopefully we can create a community.
I'm also wondering, is it all yard sales or do you do some Facebook Marketplace as
Yeah,
well?
oh, I love Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, because a lot of people put clothes up on there.
A lot of people put clothes up. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll kind of
Yeah, honestly, my friends always make fun of me. Like, typically people go on their phones and play games, and for their pastimes, I'm always scrolling through Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. All right. Thank you so much. This was
Yeah,
wonderful.
thank you, Amy.